Part 101. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1002. True Ancestor Realm. In the main hall of the Forbidden One, the runes are soaring into the sky, and the formations are all activated, completely isolated from the world. No one can approach it, and no one can escape from it. In the main hall, Xuanhuan scanned the audience and said, "It's a showdown. I won't perform anymore. I'm the traitor. Who wants to kill me?" Now, he has completely given up. He has reached this point and there is nothing to hide. He and many other supreme elders were kneeling on the ground, trembling, and did not dare to speak at all. Obviously, even the old man, the Forbidden Lord, seemed to have been tricked and controlled by Xuanhuan. Who would dare to take action after learning from his past mistakes? Even Song Ji-Yuan was stunned and looked at Xuanhuan in disbelief. He had already discovered before that Xuanhuan was not a simple man. He could bless even the supreme elders who visited the prison to death. But he never expected that Xuanhuan would attack the Forbidden Lord without saying a word. Damn, that's so cruel. At the same time, he also thought that when Xuanhuan attacked the Forbidden Lord, he was afraid that he had helped him at first. After all, he was the one who delivered the Forbidden Lord's bones to Xuanhuan in the first place. Later, it was him and Xuanhuan who did it together every time. Xuanhuan is the mole, so, wouldn't he become the mole's accomplice? It's over. He was completely despairing. He was dragged into the water by Xuanhuan. However, suddenly he changed his mind. Now that the biggest boss of the Forbidden City has been controlled by Xuanhuan, how can he be dragged into the water? Maybe he hugged her on his lap. So what if you are a mole? Immediately, he also mustered up the courage and said, "I won't act anymore. I am also a traitor, brother Xuanhuan and I are together. Take a stand now." Xuanhuan, "No, Elder Ao, Brother Ao, it's not necessary. We are all brothers of the visitors, and we are all one family." Seeing that the situation was wrong, he also spoke up and begged for mercy tremblingly. "I used to be a quiet and low-key elder, but you insist on forcing me." Xuanhuan sighed and said, "You commit suicide. He and others have discovered his secret, there is no other way but to take cruel measures." He and others were in despair as they were mourning their heirs. "Brother Ao." At this time, Song Ji-Yuan said, "They are all strong men. It would be a pity to kill them. In my opinion, it is better to let them become life slaves. This way, it can also help you control the entire Prowler organization." His role has changed rapidly and he has already begun to plan for his big brother. When Xuanhuan heard this seemed good, and he nodded immediately. Song Ji-Yuan immediately looked at He and others and said, "Is there anyone who doesn't want to live? Those who don't want to live commit suicide, and those who want to live become life slaves. He is so arrogant." Hearing this, He and others looked at each other. "Forget it, even the Forbidden Lord is controlled by him, we have no chance at all. It's better to die than to live." "I do." They spoke immediately, took out the lifeblood one by one, and completed the ceremony. Song Ji-Yuan collected the blood talisman condensed from their lifeblood and presented it to Xuanhuan, saying, "Brother Ao, this is their destiny. If they dare to have any dissent in the future, you can destroy them at any time." It's called flattery in his eyes. Seeing this, Xuanhuan waved his hand and said, "Just keep it, they will be under your control from now on." When Song Ji-Yuan heard this, he was immediately elated and extremely happy. "I am, ranked above many supreme elders. Today's Xuanhuan is undoubtedly equivalent to the former Forbidden Lord of the Forbidden Organization, and he is equivalent to Du Lao." Happiness comes too suddenly. At this moment, he was extremely lucky. He held his thighs firmly and took off. "You, how dare you do this to me?" The Forbidden Lord was extremely sad and angry at the moment, and the anger in his eyes was about to burst. The hero of his own generation once stood in the taboo and fought against ruthless people like Wan Dao Ding Ding. Now he is reborn after an eternity, and he is bound to soar into the sky and create glory again. In the end, he was killed by the traitor Xuanhuan. Now, every part of his body, except his head, belongs to him, and not a single bone or flesh obeys his own words. Even if he was disrespectful to Xuanhuan, he would be beaten. Depend on. Crazy, going crazy. Now, even his own organization will be occupied by Xuanhuan? I can't bear it, I can't bear it. He was so angry that he started to slap his mouth hard. Brother Ao, now that the Forbidden Lord has been controlled, in my opinion, you might as well stay behind the scenes and hold the Forbidden Lord hostage to order the world. In this way, if the Grey Mist Sea comes here, we can hide for a while. Song Ji-yuan was planning for Xuanhuan. In fact, he was still a little worried inside. Because, behind the forbidden visitor, there is an inextricable relationship with the Sea of Grey Mist. If Xuanhuan shows up directly, he will soon be discovered by the Sea of Grey Mist, and then it may be difficult to deal with him. It is better to continue to let Xuanhuan play, and let the Forbidden Master be a puppet on the surface, while Xuanhuan takes the lead behind the scenes. When Xuanhuan heard this, he nodded repeatedly, "This is the best. Maybe, we can get something similar to the bones of the Forbidden Lord from the Grey Mist Sea?" At the same time, he couldn't help but feel that Song Ji-yuan was really good and thoughtful. Immediately, he looked at the Forbidden Lord with a faint look in his eyes. The Forbidden Lord suddenly panicked and said, "What you up to? I'm warning you, don't mess around, I won't give in." Even though he received a few more big slaps, his eyes were still very firm. As a hero of the generation, his will is stronger than steel. "Even if you kill me, I can't give in to you, a thief like you." He gritted his teeth and cursed angrily, and then slapped himself in the face. Both of his faces were swollen like a pig's head. Xuanhuan shook his head and said, "Why kill you? It's boring. You should give me an interesting show, a striptease." The Forbidden Lord was startled for a moment and said angrily, "Who do you think I am? Don't even think about it." Before he finished speaking, he was twisting his waist, posing, and dancing, while taking off his clothes. In Xuanhuan's hand, there is already an extra recording crystal, recording the alluring and moving dance of the Forbidden Lord. "Ah, you've gone too far, you've gone too far." The Forbidden Lord was jumping and shouting, his voice trembling. "Excessive," Xuanhuan said. "The more outrageous things are yet to come." As soon as he thought about it, the Forbidden Lord immediately lay down and raised his buttocks. This shameful posture immediately frightened the Forbidden Lord and said, What do you want to do?" Song Ji-yuan next to him saw it and understood instantly. He looked at Huihe and said, "Go." Huihe's eyes widened. This is to make yourself." However, he hesitated for a moment, not daring to resist at all, and walked towards the Forbidden Master. When your life is at stake, you can only follow the man. "Forbidden Lord, please bear with me, I am very gentle." Huihe also spoke. "No. Don't. At this moment, the Forbidden Lord's mentality completely collapsed. He panicked. A deep fear completely shattered all his pride. When he saw Huihe starting to take off his pants behind him, he was sweating profusely and said, I'm convinced. I surrender, brother, give me a chance, don't do it." He howled. This is simply scarier than killing him. When Xuanhuan saw this, a smile appeared on his lips and said, "From now on, if you dare to talk nonsense, everything in this crystal will spread throughout the grey mist sea. Understand? The Forbidden Lord looked at Xuanhuan, his eyelids were trembling, his eyes were full of fear, as if he was looking at a devil, and he said, I understand, I understand. From today on, you are my big brother, I will listen to you, I will listen to you completely. Xuanhuan showed a satisfied smile. Soon, the runes, formations, etc. in the main hall have been lifted. The Lord of the Forbidden City is sitting at the top, with an extraordinary bearing, like a king. On the left and right of him were Xuanhuan and Hui. But Xuanhuan is hiding among the crowd, hiding his merit and fame. This is what he actively requested. After all, the more obsessive the better. The Forbidden Lord is resurrected. Xuanhuan has made outstanding contributions and was promoted to Great Elder. This news spread throughout the entire Prohibitor organization. Suddenly, the entire visitor organization was in a state of shock, and all the powerful men were overjoyed. In the visitors' hall. Huh? Report to the Forbidden Lord, news just came from the World Sacrifice Temple, asking what happened on the other side of the grey mist sea. Hui stepped forward. Although he said he was reporting to the Forbidden Lord, he looked at Xuanhuan respectfully. Xuanhuan has completely controlled the visitors. Hearing this, Xuanhuan thought. In the past, how did you usually respond? Hui congratulated. We used to let a man named Wu Jianghe take the blame. After all, there are some situations in the grey mist sea that cannot be known to the World Sacrifice Temple. Xuanhuan heard this and said without thinking. Then, let him continue carrying it. Hui nodded, and then he suddenly said. By the way, now that the Forbidden Lord has recovered, someone from the grey mist sea will probably come over soon. What will happen then? Xuanhuan said, what are you afraid of? It's better if you come. A glimmer of expectation flashed in his eyes and he said. Maybe there are powerful people over there who need to be resurrected like the Forbidden Lord. Forbidden Lord. Soon. In the Temple of Sacrifice. It's over. Several ultimate ones are like morning and air. Wu Jianghe obtained the inheritance of 10,000 Dao endpoints and killed 1 billion powerful men from the grey mist sea in one battle. Even the true ancestors of the grey mist sea have been alarmed, but for some reasons, they haven't crossed over yet. This Wu Jianghe is heaven-defying and invincible. Is he going to grow into the end of all things in this world? They were all shocked. The visitors did not tell them the truth about the death of the true ancestor, the death of the 10,000 Dao terminus, and the fact that there was a thought in this world. They only told them that Wu Jianghe was the descendant of the 10,000 Dao terminus. He was alone and killed 10 people in one battle. An army of hundreds of millions. This news made Ning Tianji, Zhang Shanju, and others terrified, completely terrified. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1003. Martial Wilderness World. In the desert of the dead, a void passage suddenly appeared directly. In the void passage, 3 figures suddenly appeared. It was Huo Ling Mu Jianing, Yang Chu, and the others. This place is. Mu Jianing was a little confused, but the next moment she raised her eyes, a look of surprise suddenly appeared in her eyes, and she said. That's, a small mountain village. Huo Ling was also very surprised and said. The small mountain village has also come to the ancestral world, the end of 10,000 paths, she actually sent us here accurately. They were all extremely excited and immediately walked out of the passage and arrived in front of the small mountain village. Looking at the small mountain village they had not seen for several years, both of them had various emotions in their eyes. I knew that Senior Li and the others must be here. He is definitely not an ordinary person. Mu Jianing's eyes were filled with joy. The end of 10,000 roads has sent us here. Could it be that Senior Li, the small mountain village, is the real planner? Huo Linger thought of many things in an instant. When Yang Chu looked at the small mountain village, his face was extremely shocked and he said, "There is actually a forbidden atmosphere lingering in this place is home to real strong men. Could it be that the person I was looking for at the end of the world is here?" Yang Chu is a veteran. He once followed the 10 gods, 2 evil spirits, and 10 spirits and participated in the battle when the Grey Mist invaded countless years ago. At that time, in order to preserve the fire, the Pure Land Yangjian was formed, and Yang Chu was the guardian of Yangjian. In order to avoid being discovered, the highest level in the Yang world is only the divine way, which does not touch the way of chaos. For this reason, Yang Chu killed himself and became the God Emperor, cutting off all the cultivation of chaos. Now, he has followed the coffin at the end of 10,000 paths to practice for a long time. Not only has his cultivation been completely restored, but he has also made great progress. He has entered the realm of 4 views and is about to become the overlord. Huo Linger and Mu Jianing are already on their way. Therefore, he clearly felt the taboo atmosphere here. "Let's go, in." Mu Jianing spoke. She and Huo Linger both felt a sense of timidity when seeing homesickness. Been gone for so long. Yang Chu was very excited. He had a premonition that here, he might be able to see the truth that they had been pursuing for eternity and all the way to the end. Enter the small mountain village. It turns out that small mountain villages are so strong. Huo Linger was in a trance. From the immortal way, the holy way, the Shinto way, to now they are on the road. At every stage, their feelings towards the small mountain village are different. Taboo, every plant and tree here touches the taboo. Yang Chu was very excited. "Hey, isn't this Jianning and Linger girl?" At this time, an old voice sounded. The 3 of them looked up and saw an old man standing on the side of the road with a cane, a trace of joy written on his face. Surprisingly, it is the second uncle. Seeing Uncle Zhao Er, Mu Jianing, and Huo Linger were all very surprised. "Second uncle, it's us," Mu Jianing said excitedly. "Are you okay? Are everyone in the village okay? Where are Senior Li and the others?" Huo Linger and she both had thousands of words to say, but they couldn't say them out for a while. The second uncle also smiled and said, "It's good, everyone in the village is doing well, and Xiao Li and the others are doing well too. You 2 girls, I don't know where you are. You haven't come to the village to see us for so long. The Chinese New Year is just around the corner. Come quickly, come with the second uncle. The second uncle will take you to the New Year's Eve dinner." Xiao Li and the others got a lot of good stuff. Hearing this, Huo Linger and Mu Jianing both nodded happily, their faces full of excitement. After many years of separation, they all immediately felt a sense of home when they returned to the small mountain village. They had just been here before, but the people in the village regarded them as family members. Yang Chu was very shocked because he couldn't see through the level of second Uncle Zhao at all. Could it be that the old man in front of me is the unparalleled powerful man that Wandao Endpoint was looking for in the past? Is it that one? His cultivation level in the past was not too high, so he was unable to access some levels of mysteries. For example, that person, he only knew of its existence and was extremely powerful, but about the details of that person, he knew nothing about it. Immediately, they followed the second uncle and headed towards the place where the banquet was held in the village. In the small courtyard, Li Fan had already finished bathing, put on a thick robe, sat under the peach tree, and waited leisurely. Not long after, a group of female disciples also came out one after another. They all put on new clothes, and when they walked by, they brought out bursts of fragrance. Xiaobai also ran out after them, meowed, and jumped into Li Fan's arms. Li Fan touched Xiaobai's soft belly and felt the fragrant smell of Xiaobai. He couldn't help but take a deep breath on the cat, then stood up and said, "Let's go have New Year's Eve dinner." Immediately, everyone was very excited. It's Chinese New Year, let's go have New Year's Eve dinner. There's so much delicious food today. Everyone left the small courtyard together, and not long after, they had arrived at the village banquet place. At this moment, the place is already bustling. Every household, men, women, old and young, came out. Uncle Zhang and the others cut all the authentic ingredients, while Aunt Wang and others were cooking. The smell of the food was very strong. The children ran around, throwing out one or two from time to time. Firecracker. This is New Year's Eve, the flavor of the new year. Xiao Li. At this time, the second uncle came over and said, "Look, who's coming?" Li Fan looked up and saw Huo Ling Mu Jianing, and an old man walking over. "Miss Jianing, Miss Ling Li Fan spoke unexpectedly, with a smile on his face and said, "Haven't seen you for a long time." Mu Jianing and Huo Ling bowed excitedly and said, "Meet Senior Li. Get up quickly, no need to be polite." Li Fan was quite happy when he spoke. He hadn't seen Huo Ling and the others for a long time. "Jianing, Ling you are finally here." Zi Ling and others also stepped forward, very happy. They and Huo Ling and others had known each other since they were in the underworld. It's a good day for everyone to have a reunion dinner together. Li Fan opened his mouth and said, "Whatever you want to eat, you can sign up and I'll cook it for you." Suddenly, a group of disciples were very enthusiastic. "Master, I want to eat chicken stewed with mushrooms." "Master, I want braised pork ribs." "Master, look, Aunt Wang has brought fish here. I want to eat fish." They signed up one after another. So lively. But at this moment, Emperor Yang Chu couldn't help but feel wet in his eyes when he looked at the scene in front of him. "It's back, it's all back, haha, it's all back." His old eyes were filled with emotion. Once upon a time, he followed 10 gods and 10 spirits, and now they meet again in the downstream of time. Although Nanfang, Zi Ling, and others no longer recognize him, he still remembers. He also saw the end of the world, and now he is innocent and following Li Fan, helping but not helping, like a clingy little girl. No matter how miserable they were, in this life, they are very happy, very happy. Emperor Yang Chu murmured. "Senior Yang Chu, what's wrong with you?" Huo Linger asked. Yang Chu smiled, wiped his tears and said, "No, there's sand in my eyes." He didn't say anything, didn't step forward to acknowledge each other, because, no, there was no need. He has confirmed that Li Fan is the one from the past. He is the supreme being who truly laid out the plan for eternity. At this moment, I saw that the 10 gods and 2 evil spirits had been reborn, and I found the one at the end of the world. Everything is unspeakable. The place was busy. Not long after, Ming Tianbei also came with a group of mentally ill people. Murongwan Si, Xian Tujing, and Chen Dong have now completely integrated into the life of the mental hospital. Mainly, after taking a mugwort bath, their gray mist origin was directly transformed into white mist. Moreover, they also ate spicy skin, onions, ginger, garlic, even dried pork, etc. that they had never enjoyed before. I fully understand how wonderful it is to be mentally ill. Hey, these ingredients, why are they so terrible? With sharp eyes, Yin Suan saw Uncle John cutting the meat of some 3-winged ferocious deer into small pieces. But the meat clearly exudes the aura of the true ancestor. The ingredients in the village have all reached the true ancestor level. Kizumenon was shocked. If we continue hunting like this, it won't be long before we see the grey mist sea turn into a dead sea. Wuzologo Xing Chen murmured. "You're worthless, what happened to the true ancestor? Didn't you see? I killed more than a dozen of the big roosters in the village." But demon ancestor Wei saw the chicken that Aunt Wan was cooking and salivated. There's chicken to eat tonight. Others immediately started looking forward to it. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1004. Soon, in the small mountain village, New Year's Eve dinners were served. Men, women, old and young sat together, and all kinds of delicious food were everywhere. Boiled cabbage heart, sweet and sour pork loin, mapo tofu, chicken stewed with mushrooms, glutinous rice dumplings, braised pork ribs, pork stewed vermicelli, 6 meatballs, braised prawns. Every household's specialty dishes are served, and besides the first time, there are also a bunch of special dishes, such as 3-winged ferocious deer braised wings, fried space-time worms, old turtle soup, etc. Fragrant and delicious. In addition, Uncle Zhang boldly brought the old wine that he had collected for 10 years today and placed a jar on each table to add to the flavor of the year. It's time to eat. The villagers all started to eat. At the dining table, there was laughter and excitement. Come on, let's go. I wish you all the best next year. When Uncle Zhang opened his mouth, everyone picked up their wine bowls, poured in the old wine, and drank it all in one gulp. This drink is incredible. This year, I'm afraid it will last for hundreds of millions of years. Chen Dong felt comfortable all over. Taking a mugwort bath before had made all the ominous things he had been contaminated with over the years disappear. Now when he drank water, he suddenly felt that the energy in his body exploded, and he continued to open up the Taoist landscape. He said that the ghosts in the scenery had been wiped out after entering the small mountain village, and they were moving forward now. He saw a man, with his feet on the mountains and rivers, a majestic figure, and 9 great creations and terrains gathered around him. He was side by side with creation, sitting with Ming Ming, and seemed to control countless powers. There is the shadow of Kailan beside him, and he is so angry that he is astonishingly direct. That was the immortal he saw. Lin Zhichuan. Chen Dong was shocked. The immortal he saw on the Tianqi road was actually Lin Zhichuan. Immediately afterwards, he saw the saint of the heavenly master road. He was a perfect man, with many orders and powers integrated into one. His every move was full of great cause and effect, as if he was fighting a fierce battle with some peerless enemy. The last sight of the god of heavenly master road was a desolate one. Only a piece of human skin was seen, wandering between heaven and earth. The unicorn had disappeared, and the darkness swallowed up all the light. The supreme creation still has a past. Chen Dong was shocked. He felt, Lin Zhichuan's origin seemed to be more than just the supreme being of creation. Could it be that the supreme being is just a projection? On the other side, Murong Si drank Uncle Zhang's wine and was also experiencing the 4 encounters. She saw a peerless and charming woman who painted mountains and rivers with her brush. With her brush, beautiful worlds were born one after another. She is creating the world. This is the fairy of painting. Then, it was the same woman, her canvas was full of light, a thin painting resisting the darkness between heaven and earth. Then, she saw the god of painting, but everything disappeared. The huge darkness was like the final canvas, and the person who painted seemed to have been swallowed by the dark canvas. What Xian Dujing saw in the Taoist scenery was extremely shocking. She saw a forbidden world, where cranes were flying, and the sky was filled with forbidden fairy lights. A woman walked across the sky with 10 foxes in her arms. She casually dropped the petals and they fell to the world. All the pain in the world disappeared. Medicine fairy. Immediately afterwards, the boundless fresh fish were destroyed. She walked into the darkness, planted 2-leaf clover in the darkness, killed the rot slaves in the darkness, and redeemed the lost creatures. Medicine saint. She used her body as medicine and walked towards the boundless dark throne. Not knowing who she wanted to save, she disappeared. God of medicine. Subakian, she once came from the forbidden immortal realm. Was she the ancestor of our ancient immortal clan? At this moment, Xuanhuan was shocked to the extreme. She confirmed that the scene she saw in the Taoist scenery must be the legendary forbidden fairyland, the ancestral land of the ancient immortal clan. She opened her eyes and subconsciously looked at the other table, her eyes falling on Subakian. There was a complex emotion in her eyes, and an inexplicable respect quietly rose. Chen Dong and Xuanhuan couldn't help but look over. Then, the big black dog gnawing bones at the corner of the table where master and disciple Li Fan sat, raised his dog eyes and bared his teeth in a threatening manner. That seemed to be a warning to them. Immediately, the three of them quickly looked away. It's too scary. 10 statues and 2 evil spirits, what a big deal. Chen Dong murmured. Stop talking nonsense. Eat your food. Xuanhuan spoke. She was now convinced that from today on, Subakian was the person she wanted to follow her whole life. From now on, her life can be sacrificed for Subakian. You eat too fast, right? Xuanhuan picked up the chopsticks and found that on the table. What a mess. Martial ancestor, sound ancestor, sword ancestor, demon ancestor, blood ancestor, weapon ancestor, chess ancestor, grass ancestor, even gentle monks like Zen ancestor are now crazy about grabbing food. It's bad, it's bad. I'm just here to see you. Eating is the real thing. Chen Dong became anxious, raised his chopsticks and said. Save some for me. Xuanhuan was also startled for a moment, then she pulled a plate of chicken skin to her side and poured out all the remaining chili peppers at the speed of light. That's called a scramble. When the second uncle saw this scene, he couldn't help but smile and said. Don't be afraid, we have enough for today. As he spoke, he scooped up a spoonful of turtle soup, sipped it, and said. Well, the old turtle soup this time is more delicious than last time. Maybe after Xiaoli and the others go hunting a few more times, I can get the same variety as before, I miss it. Uncle Zhang also added a braised wing of a 3-winged ferocious deer and said. The taste is still a bit off. Braised 3-winged ferocious deer, negative chess logo turtle old turtle soup, fried thyme and space worms and other true ancestor delicacies, even a group of mentally ill people can't stand it, because they found that even if they are true ancestors, the quality of the meat is far inferior to the ones in the village. On the other side, Li Fan and a group of disciples also had a very warm meal. Give the chicken legs to the kid, Xianning, you can eat them. Li Fan tore off the chicken legs and handed one to Xianning, and the other to Yun 11. Big devil, thank you, but I am not a child. Yungzi muttered while eating sweet and sour deer wings. Li Fan said. You are who you are, eat it quickly. Yun 11 didn't say anything. She smiled sweetly, picked up the chicken leg and started to eat it. Her mouth was a little oily. Li Fan wiped her with a handkerchief and said with a smile. Only children eat like you. Next to them, many disciples were enjoying various delicacies. This fish is so delicious, master. I suggest you have a grilled fish later. Qing Chen ate the braised fish and praised it. Even Long Xuan was eating fish and could not help but say. 2 more. When everyone heard Long Xuan's words, they all felt a little strange. Wu Dade gnawed the pig's trotters. After chewing half of the pig's trotters, he took the initiative to throw it to the big black dog because he was used to it. If he didn't give it to him, the big black dog would snatch it by himself and even bite him. The big black dog gnaws the pig's trotters, that's serious. Huo Ling Mu Jianing, Yang Chu, Yang Tian, Yu Ling Xiu, Yu Ling Long, etc. were also sitting with Li Fan and others, all indulging in delicious food at this moment. Senior Li's craftsmanship, I haven't tasted it for a long time, it smells so good. Mu Jianning's face was filled with happiness. These are all true ancestor level ingredients. Huo Linger was extremely emotional. I need to eat more, it feels so good. Yang Tian felt like he was full. Li Fan also had a good appetite. While eating, he put fish meat on the kitten. This little cat seems to like eating chicken and fish. Great Demon King, come and raise a toast with us. When Yun 11 opened his mouth, everyone raised their glasses and drank. I wish Master good luck in the year of the tiger. Wish Master a powerful tiger. They smiled and spoke. And at this moment, sea of grey fog. We are ready. We have carefully selected several tribes to go to the Beiwu ancestral realm to teach the Dharma and send resources. Near the forbidden area, a true ancestor spoke to Feng Tiangu. Feng Tiangu nodded and said, "Go. As long as we can win over senior sister Fang's heart, make them give up on the path of the 9 laws, and delay their time to sacrifice to the world, then, no matter how many resources are spent, it will be worth it." He was very calm. Now, the Forbidden Immortals and the others have taken action to crack the backup plan left here at the end of 10,000 paths. As long as the backhand here is cracked, the White Mist ancestral realm will not be able to threaten the Grey Mist Sea. In addition, contact the visitors. I heard that the Forbidden Lord has revived, send them some gifts to show our respect for the Forbidden Lord, and also ask them to help us with our plans in that world. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1005. Late at night. In a small mountain village. The banquet was almost finished, and everyone was a little stuffed. Everyone sat together and talked around the fire at night. On the bonfire are grilled fish, roasted whole deer and other delicacies, the aroma is fragrant. Come on, I'll take you to set off the fireworks. Li Fan spoke. He had also learned how to make fireworks under the guidance of the system, so he had prepared a lot before the festival. After all, the Chinese New Year still needs some atmosphere. Hearing this, a group of disciples were very excited. Fireworks are set off. I heard the fireworks are so beautiful. Li Fan smiled and distributed the fireworks to them. Li Fan, how should I put this? Yun 11 spoke doubtfully. Li Fan went over to teach her and said, hold the bottom and light the fuse above, and that's it. He gently held Yun 11's hand and said, there will be some recoil, so hold on tight. Then the fuse was lit. Suddenly, a beam of light rushed into the sky, blooming with brilliant light in the sky. Bang! The night sky was illuminated, like a flame burning in the darkness, colorful, short and beautiful. What a nice view! I want to let go too. A group of disciples were all very excited. Suddenly, a stream of fireworks rushed into the sky, competing for beauty in the dark night sky, and bloomed into beautiful flowers. Next to them, a group of mentally ill people were all stunned at this moment. The great avenue blooms, this is clearly the ultimate flower of martial arts. Luo Xingchen spoke in shock. He seemed to have caught the movement of the sword from the fireworks. Nonsense, this is clearly a painting. Murongwan Xi's beautiful eyes were filled with obsession, and she said. Countless Tao bloomed at that moment, bursting out the greatest beauty in the world. How can ordinary painting Tao depict such wonders? Soon, the fireworks were set off. A group of disciples were very happy, and the villagers were also very happy to see it. Xiao Li is so awesome. These fireworks are beautiful. They all praised. Lao Zhang, your wine is not very good. At this time, Uncle Zhao was drinking Uncle Zhang's 10-year-old wine, shaking his head and saying. It's not as good as Xiao Li's wine for a year. Uncle Zhang said. You don't understand, go, I've given you 10 years of wine for nothing. When Li Fan saw this, he couldn't help laughing and said, "Dear master, go dig out the wine from the past 5 years as a teacher. I won't come home until I'm drunk with you all today." Wu Date and Lu Rang immediately ran back to get the wine, and before long, they had brought several large jars of wine. "Everyone is full. Come, let's have a drink together, and wish you all a prosperous life in the coming year." The second uncle raised his glass, and all the villagers were smiling. "It's booming." They drank it all in one gulp. "This is called wine. This mellow aroma and taste are so good." The second uncle was drinking and praising Li Fan's drink. Li Fan has been in the village for 5 years so far, so this is also the drink he has treasured for the longest time. Of course there's nothing to say about the taste. Nanfan, Xiling, etc. are also drinking freely. "Master, why do people celebrate the New Year? It feels very interesting." As for Xiling, while drinking, she looked at Li Fan with big eyes and asked questions curiously. They have been cultivating and have almost no experience with secular festivals like the Chinese New Year. Li Fan smiled slightly and said, "There are 360 days in a year, the 4 seasons change, the leaves bud and wither, the grains are harvested from the tillage, the heaven and earth go from the blessings of spring to the bitter cold of winter. However, this is the case every year, and every year is a new cycle. The Chinese New Year is the starting point for welcoming a new reincarnation." Hearing this, many disciples were thoughtful. They felt that there seemed to be some meaning in Master's words. "Master," the second uncle said, "that during the Chinese New Year, we have to fight monsters. There is a kind of monster called 11, which is very ferocious and can devour everything. You must put magic charms on the door, hang lanterns, and light firecrackers to drive it away. Is it true or false?" Subakian also asked questions. Li Fan smiled and said, "They're all just legends. There is no such monster in this world." The second uncle next to him shook his head and said, "No. It should have happened originally. At that time, the New Year was like passing a test. The man who used to dance the great god in the village had to write couplets for us, make red lanterns, and set off firecrackers in person every New Year's Eve. However, the couplets he wrote were similar to it looks like a ghost painting, and the lanterns are also very hideous and ugly, but Xiao Li's is better. The couplets look comfortable, the lanterns are beautiful, and the fireworks are even more beautiful. Over the years, things like 11 don't exist anymore, and I don't know where they have gone. Forget it, let's drink and drink." He raised his glass and drank with Li Fan. However, the disciples were all a little itchy. Every time the second uncle talked about the past, they would solve it, as if reflecting some truths in the years, but they could not get a full picture of it. "This wine is so strong." At this moment, many disciples were finally a little drunk. At the same time, in this intoxication, their consciousness slowly entered the Taoist scenery. The drunkenness turned into the Taoist spirit, and they were distracted and forgetful. The south wind plays the sound of time in the Taoist landscape, and the sound of her piano seems to disturb the years, traveling through the long river of history, year after year, and the rules of the music condense into a great avenue. The true meaning of Long Zixuan's martial arts exploded, and he moved forward in an indomitable way, as if he was going to reach the sky, singing and singing, covering the sky with a snap of his fingers. Lu Rang had a dream while drunk. He dreamed that he was sleeping on a green grassland, with the breeze blowing on his face. His Taoist scenery was like thousands of miles of greenery, and the green avenue stretched forward. At this moment, Du Guyuking, Qing Chen, Zhang Li, Xining, Gong Ya, they were all on their way. They all got drunk and fell down one by one. Li Fan looked at this group of disciples and couldn't help but shake his head and smile. Those who celebrated the New Year were all drunk, they couldn't keep up the New Year. "Little greedy cat, after tonight, next year will be your birth year." He touched Xiaobai's soft belly in his arms, but he was a little confused. Why didn't this little kitten grow up? When I met him and now, my body shape was about the same, and I hadn't gained weight. Well, my belly was just a little softer. Can't you experience the joy of raising a kitten with one hand? That's all, as long as it's healthy. He dipped his fingers into the wine and fed it to the kitten. The kitten licked it and seemed to be drunk and fell asleep. It almost forgot to stick out its pink tongue. It's getting late, finally, it's past midnight, and the new year has finally arrived. The year of the ox has passed and the year of the tiger has arrived. Li Fan first put the kitten back on the bed, and then came back to hug Xiling, Nanfan, and Subakian. Yun 11 was a little drunk and her face was red, but she hadn't fallen down yet. Together with Li Fan, she dragged Wu Date and the others back to the room. Li Fan, the fireworks are very beautiful, I like them so much. Why are the fireworks so gorgeous? Yungzi was drunk, but her eyes were still full of smiles. She was immersed in the beauty of the fireworks before. Li Fan smiled slightly and said, "Because the night is dark, the fireworks are gorgeous." Hearing this, Yungzi smiled stupidly and said, "I understand, because it burns itself in the dark night, only the fire in the dark can be so beautiful." She tilted her head and fell into Li Fan's arms. Li Fan hugged her gently, took her back to the room, and covered her with a quilt. Watching her sleep peacefully, Li Fan took out a small red envelope from his arms and placed it under her pillow. "That's New Year's money." It feels inappropriate to have no New Year's money during the Chinese New Year, but Li Fan is really too poor. To be honest, he has never seen money since he came to this world. The people in the village are self-sufficient and do not trade with the outside world. He has never gone out to see the world, let alone what money in this world looks like. Therefore, he secretly minted a few copper coins to give to his apprentices as lucky money. It's just a metaphor and sustenance. Therefore, he didn't take it out in public just now. After all, each apprentice only had one copper coin. This is so shabby. After leaving Yungzi's room, he went to his disciples' rooms one by one and placed lucky money under their pillows. Then, Li Fan sat in the small courtyard under the peach tree for a long time. It's quiet at night. The wind of the year of the tiger is blowing, and in the small courtyard, many plants are waiting for the vitality of the coming year. Nanfan's sacred blood grass has green growth in its yellow leaves, and Xiling's grapes have become very big. Long Xuanhuan's lotus opened its leaves in the pond and floated on the water. Lu Rang's grass was beside his bed, and Qingchen's Bodhi tree had grown as tall as a person. Dugu Yuking's evergreen tree has a pale trunk as thick as an arm. Zhang Li's bamboo has grown 3 to 4 meters in length over the past year. Wu Dade's molten gold tree is like a huge mace with 2 thorns. So long and extremely sharp. Lin Zhuzhan's unicorn tree stands tall in the courtyard, and Subakian's 2-leaf grass continues to grow. Li Fan suddenly smiled slightly and said, "Wildfire, in spring. The vitality is endless, but it's a pity that the flowers are the same every year, and the people are different every year." He got up and left. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xin. Chapter 1006. It's quiet at night. In a room. Nanfan slept soundly and entered a state of ignorance. Right now. Her Taoist scenery was inexplicably released. In her Taoist scenery, a regular road of Qin Dao extends directly towards the depths of the Taoist scenery. Right now. At the end of this road, suddenly there seemed to be layers of black mist rising from the source. At the source of the black mist, there was a pair of indescribable eyes scanning the scenic spot. There was no soul, and those eyes disappeared in a flash. But then, there was a shrill sound of the piano, and in the darkness, there was a terrifying female figure, which seemed to be walking in the opposite direction of her path to the piano. The woman's clothes were in tatters, as if she were alone and lost in the darkness, and she looked like a ghost. Her hands were wrapped with broken strings, and she was approaching the road of the south wind, and seemed to be climbing up. However, this is the moment. Under Nanfan's pillow, in the red envelope left by Li Fan, a ray of light suddenly entered Nanfan's mind. The copper coin had already entered the Taoist scenery of Nanfan, emitting a thick yellow light and illuminating the entire Taoist scenery. The woman who was about to climb the road to Nanfan Daijing suddenly had a flash of fear in her eyes. Reincarnation money, has the Lord of Reincarnation reappeared? No. The woman turned and fled, never to be seen again. In this scene, not only Nanfan, but also everyone including Xiling, De Guyuking, Zhongli, Xining, Gong Yat. It all happens quietly. In the small courtyard. The master personally made the reincarnation money. The old hen's voice sounded, extremely solemn, and said, "The 10 gods and 2 evil spirits have left behind too many withered ghosts, dead immortals, unwilling holy spirits, and alienated gods in their reincarnations. Whenever they are ignorant, these things will emerge from the darkness. If you look for them, if you don't pay attention, they will become who they were without knowing it, and embark on the same failed path. This is an eternal nightmare." Doshu was also silent for a long time before saying. Back then, the Lord of Reincarnation followed his master on that road, and went very far. Under the guidance of his master, he created the underworld, built reincarnation, and found a home for the sorrows left behind, but after he died, those things all left the underworld. All over the world. This is also the truth behind the turmoil in the grey mist sea that year. Samsara fell, thousands of ghosts emerged, the world was in great turmoil, and the sea of grey mist invaded the white mist ancestral realm. 10 deities and 2 evil spirits in the white mist ancestral realm stepped forward to fight and fell on the ancient road. This is the cause and effect of the previous life. The old hen murmured. Reincarnation, fire of night, and the 9 forbidden towers, are the keys to breaking the situation. Back then, my master traveled all over the heavens and finally realized the true meaning of the great reincarnation in the white mist ancestral realm. However, he was too late to create the reincarnation, so he had to rush on the road to fight. Fortunately, he met the Lord of Reincarnation and guided him to establish the reincarnation tradition. In this life, has the fire of dark night and the 9 forbidden towers appeared. Doshu said slowly. While you and I were sleeping, the master had laid out his plans for eternity. Now the wheels of history are rolling in, and the master has finally made his move. All we have to do is wait. The old hen nodded and said. The Lord of Reincarnation has gone through many calamities for the sake of ghosts and monsters. How is he doing now? The branches of the peach tree floated gently, as if they were exploring the long river of cause and effect between heaven and earth. After a long time, they said. Soon, when the Beiwu ancestral realm becomes a forbidden realm, the real great reincarnation can reappear, and the power of reincarnation will also return. What appeared in the Yang world in the past was only a small reincarnation. The person in the Yang world cannot bear the cause and effect of the big reincarnation. Only the forbidden world can bear it. The backhand left behind by 10,000 ways and, the Jugfa sacrifice, was just to allow the Beiwu ancestral realm to seize the forbidden opportunity. Could it be that she had already seen something back then? The old hen suddenly whispered. Eons ago, after the master set out on the road, the end of the road followed in his footsteps. But Yungzi's reincarnation meant that she also died in the depths of darkness. Could it be that she also saw the future at that time, so she left behind a backup plan? Re-emerging from reincarnation requires a forbidden realm, so she left a backup to help Beiwu's ancestral realm become a forbidden realm. The master's overall situation must not be alerted, so she stood in the front, letting the eyes in the darkness fall on her. The peach tree sighed. The master is miserable, so she is not. She spends her whole life just trying to make her master more relaxed. The night fire is gorgeous, just because it burns itself in the dark night, This overall situation is filled with too much blood and tears, it is too heavy. When the old hen heard this, she suddenly understood something and said, "You mean?" Peach Tree just said, "Let them sleep. Wake up later and enjoy the beauty." The old hen also fell into deep silence. After a long time, she continued. "According to the usual method, if you want to become a forbidden realm, you must lead the forbidden path marks. But if you want to lead the forbidden path marks, traveling all over the world is only the first step. The white mist ancestral realm is still not enough. We even need to turn the entire gray mist sea into the white mist ancestral realm, and then open up the forbidden passage. Although it is a little slower, it is better than being sure. In order not to alert the snake, this is also the best way. In fact, with the existence of small mountain villages, it is not difficult to promote the Beiwu ancestral realm to the forbidden realm. However, that would expose the existence of the small mountain village. Therefore, although the method of 10,000 paths end is slower, it is the most effective. The white mist ancestral realm has become a forbidden realm, and the eyes in the darkness will only focus on her. Dosha nodded and said, "The day when the white mist ancestral realm receives Daohen, it will be the time when reincarnation reappears. At that time, we may also have a chance to take action." For the first time, there was a faint expectation in her indifferent words. Hearing this, in the pond, the shadow of the dragon shook the sky. "Fight! Fight! Fight through eternity and kill all enemies! Fight! Fight! Fight through eternity and kill all enemies! They are full of fighting spirit." But the old hen gave them a cold look and said, "I forgot to tell you that Aunt Wang's fish has been eaten on the table today." Well, Long Xuanhuan also ate it. Hearing these words, the group of unparalleled true dragons with terrifying auras were suddenly startled and returned to the pond dejectedly. In the pond, Long Xuanhuan's little black fish had long been hidden under the lotus, without even showing its head. And at this moment, the border between the gray mist sea and the white mist ancestral realm, the northern border. The abyss disappeared, the great wall collapsed, and the rich gray mist origin chi filled the great wall. Almost all the creatures in the northern border of the true ancestor realm have been evacuated. Migrate inland. But without the obstruction of Tianyuan and the Great Wall, the gray fog will eventually sweep across the entire white mist ancestral realm. This is only a matter of time. Today, on the other side of the gray mist sea, large ships have appeared. On these large ships, there are piles of scriptures and mountains of resources. They are all treasured magic arts and top-secret treasures of the major clans in the Grey Mist Sea. Have you contacted the prohibitors? On the leader's ship, a middle-aged man with an extraordinary bearing spoke. He is the leader of this Grey Mist Sea operation. He comes from the nine-winged different Phoenix clan and is named Feng Qinggang. A servant next to him immediately said, "Lord Qi, we have sent a summons to the visitor, but there has been no reply yet." Hearing this, Feng Qinggang frowned slightly, but didn't think much and said, "Keep in touch. Also, prepare some gifts prepared by the true ancestors. This is a gift for the Forbidden Lord." He came this time not only to complete the plan of Feng Tiangu and other supreme powerhouses, to spread the Dharma of the Grey Mist Sea and disrupt the world's practice of the Nine Dharma, but also for an important purpose, to visit the Forbidden Lord. The Forbidden Lord is a truly important figure. Even the strong men in the Forbidden Land respect him. The old servant opened his mouth and said, "Yes." At the same time, True Ancestor Realm, the main hall of the Forbidden Visitor. "Brother Ao, there is news from the Grey Mist Sea again. They are coming to visit the Forbidden City to pay homage to the Forbidden Lord." He looked a little ugly, looked at Ao Wushuan and said, "How do we reply?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1007. In the visitors' hall. He looked a little ugly. He didn't expect that the grey mist sea would come so quickly. Now, their life and death were in Xuanhuan's hands, so he was also very worried. They can only obey orders from Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan. Hearing this, Xuanhuan thought for a moment and said, "They are actually coming, let them come. With the Forbidden Lord here, the grey mist sea will come to you sooner or later." Moreover, he also wanted to contact there. "Are there any bones like the Forbidden Lord? Send more." In this way, he can make rapid progress. Hearing this, he nodded immediately and said, "Good." Under Xuanhuan's supervision, he immediately replied to the visitor from Grey Mist Sea. Xuanhuan, on the other hand, looked at the Forbidden Lord. The Lord of the Forbidden City stood aside obediently, with a clear look of reluctance in his eyes, but his body was very respectful. "When the time comes, you won't talk nonsense, right?" Xuanhuan suddenly asked and muttered. "Otherwise, I'd better ask Hui to come over and record a segment for you first." He took out the crystal from last time. In this crystal, there is a record of the Forbidden Lord doing a striptease, but he is still a little worried. Hearing this, the Forbidden Lord immediately panicked and said hurriedly, "No, no, no. I will never talk nonsense, believe me, master, you believe me." He was so scared that he even called his master. Soon. Special Envoy of the Grey Mist Sea, Feng Qinggang from the Nine-Winged Different Phoenix clan, is here to pay homage to the senior Forbidden Lord. A voice sounded outside the Prohibitor organization. Immediately, Xuanhuan and Hui came out to greet the visitors. "We have been ordered to come to greet the Grey Mist Sea Envoy, please come in quickly." Xuanhuan spoke. The people who came were surprisingly Feng Qinggang and his party, 9 people in total, all of them were overlords of the powerful clans in the Grey Fog Sea. Under the guidance of Xuanhuan and Hui, they walked into the visitors' hall. In the main hall, on the throne of the Supreme Lord, the Lord of the Forbidden City sat calmly. When Feng Qinggang and others entered, they immediately knelt down and saluted. "Greetings to the Forbidden Lord. Greetings to the Forbidden Lord." They were very respectful. Even though he is an overlord, he still fears the Forbidden Master. Because the Forbidden Lord was already a big figure that even the true ancestor was in awe of eons ago, and he even fought against 10,000 Dao endpoints. The Forbidden Lord said, "Please get up." Feng Qinggang stood up and said, "Forbidden Lord, we have brought you some tribute gifts on the orders of the true ancestor of the clan, please Forbidden Lord to accept them." With that said, they took out a bunch of treasure boxes. Among them, there is a top-quality magical medicine that has been growing for 30 million years. There is Chaos Soul Jade, a top-quality weapon refining material that is hard to find in the Grey Mist Sea. All are heavy gifts. Hui and others were surprised and their eyes were filled with tears. But Xuanhuan was full of disappointment. Why did he have no bones? He was interested in bones. "Are you the only ones coming?" The Forbidden Lord suddenly spoke, with a hint of expectation in his eyes, and said, "Deep in the Forbidden Land, has anyone else come out?" His words were full of expectations. Now, the only people who can save themselves are the people in that place. In his opinion, an ant like Xuanhuan was not worth mentioning because he was not even strong enough to hit the road. However, his body was controlled by him and he was trapped. If an ordinary overlord takes action against Xuanhuan, his body will take action to protect the Lord, just like staying alive, and there is only one way to die. The true ancestor level must come to have a chance. Feng Qinggang and others shook their heads and said, "We don't know. They are not qualified to know about the things in the forbidden area. Can you contact me there?" The lord of the Forbidden City continued to ask questions eagerly. But at this time, Song Ji-yuan felt something was wrong and immediately said, "Lord Forbidden Lord, in my opinion, several special envoys have come from afar. I should invite them to dance. He is now Ao Wushuan's #1 loyal minister. So, always think about Ao Wushuan." He was hinting and even threatening the Forbidden Lord to stop talking nonsense. When the Forbidden Lord heard this, his expression suddenly changed. Feng Qinggang and other overlords were stunned. "What? You and others have come all the way, should you invite yourself and others to dance? This is crazy. Why is there such a weird thing among the visitors?" But the Forbidden Lord said, "Then let's dance." Feng Qinggang and others. They were all a little confused. What's going on? They subconsciously looked at the others, only to see Hui and others with normal expressions, as if such a thing was not surprising at all. "Lord Forbidden Lord, why do you like to watch men dance? Something's wrong, it's weird, it's weird." But Feng Qinggang gritted his teeth and said, "Stop being weird and jump now." They couldn't afford to offend a big shot like the Forbidden Lord. Then, they danced in the Forbidden Hall. That posture, that dance, it was like a chaotic dance of demons. Finally finished dancing. "Forbidden Lord, we have another purpose for coming here this time." Feng Qinggang then spoke and said, "According to the ideas of the true ancestors of the Grey Mist Sea, we need to delay the speed of this world's sacrifice. Therefore, we specially brought various methods and resources from the Grey Mist Sea to spread throughout the world. Use this to confuse the world's eyes and make them follow the path of grey fog." Hearing this, Hui, Song Ji-yuan and others' expressions changed slightly. "This plan is very poisonous. This is to dig out the roots of the 9 dharmas." Upon hearing this, the Forbidden Lord's eyes flashed with joy. He is definitely not human, so he knows very well that once the 9 methods are successful, it will pose a great threat to the Grey Mist Sea. Therefore, this plan can be called a drain on the bottom of the cauldron. However, he had just been threatened by Song Ji-yuan and immediately said, "These little things, you just need to talk to Song Ji-yuan and the others." After saying that, he stood up and left. Feng Qinggang and others respectfully sent the Forbidden Lord away. After the Forbidden Lord left, "Elder Song, Elder Hui, can you help me with this matter?" Feng Qinggang looked at Song Ji-yuan and Hui with respect and said, "After all, in this world, the big black dog, Xuanhuan and others are still alive. Even if the thought at the end of the world is not born, they will not be easy to deal with. This is also their concern. The Grey Mist Sea had already been deceived before. When the 10 overlords came over, they were all tricked to death by the big black dog. Teaching the law openly and honestly will definitely attract the obstruction of the big black dog. They were overlords, and they were really frightened when facing that dog. And when the true ancestor comes, he will provoke the thought of the end of 10,000 paths. When the old ones come, they can't beat the finish line. When the younger ones come, they are afraid of the big black dog and Xuanhuan. This work is really difficult to carry out. Therefore, we can only find some traders and traders from the Beiwu ancestral realm here to help. Someone leads the way and spreads the Dharma quietly, so that even the big black dog can only stare." Next to him, Ao Wushuan had been silent and was acting invisible. When he heard the words big black dog, his eyes immediately went straight. "Damn, are these people going to fight against the big black dog? The big black dog comes from that evil little mountain village. Do these people want to die?" He broke into a cold sweat immediately and hurriedly sent a message to Song Ji-yuan and Hui. "Absolutely cannot agree. Otherwise, it's definitely over." After receiving the message from Ao Wushuan, Song Ji-yuan and Hui were stunned. Although they didn't know why Ao Wushuan refused so firmly, they could only act according to Ao Wushuan's will. Song Ji-yuan immediately said. There's nothing we can do about this. Feng Qinggang's face looked a little ugly. Was he actually rejected? Brother Song, this matter is very important to Grey Mist Sea and to the future of the Forbidden Lord. Please think twice. He gritted his teeth and spoke, but his heart was full of hatred. Among these visitors, the strongest one is just Hui, a little one on the road. But he is an overlord, yet he has to be humble. If it was normal, he would have crushed Song Ji-yuan to death. However, now because of the Prohibition Master, I dare not make any mistakes. I told you, there's nothing I can do to help. Song Ji-yuan said coldly, Elder Huiye, please send a few guests away. The faces of the other overlords were about to burst into flames. Song Ji-yuan didn't even open the door, but he dared to look at them like this. Unacceptable. This. Feng Qinggang's face had veins popping up, but he suppressed it, took a deep breath, and said. Okay, okay. In that case, let's take our leave. Immediately, Hui sent them away. Out of the Prohibitionist organization. Elder Huiye, who is this Song Ji-yuan? Every little spirit king. Feng Qinggang couldn't help but speak. Hui's face changed slightly and said. The special envoy must not speak nonsense, he is, the popular person in front of the Forbidden Lord. Hearing this, Feng Qinggang sighed and said. Treacherous minister, the Lord of the Forbidden City has used the wrong traitorous minister. Hui was silent for a moment and suddenly said. Special envoy, I can show you the way to what you want to do. Hearing this, Feng Qinggang said. What way? Hui gritted his teeth and said. You can find Changqing, the eldest grandson of the World Sacrifice Temple. He is one of the 9 ancient immortal clans in the true ancestor realm. He is the ancestor of the eldest grandson family. He is listed in the World Sacrifice Temple. You can trust this person. I can only help you so far. The reason why he wanted to tell Feng Qinggang and others actually had his own little agenda. He always felt that following Ao Wushuan and Song Ji-yuan made him feel uneasy. These two people are so aggressive in what they do. They even dare to mess with big figures like the Forbidden Lord. If Ao Wushuan and Song Ji-yuan were killed one day, and I made good friends with the big shots in the Grey Mist Sea, I might still have a way to survive. As a human being, you have to leave a way out. When Feng Qinggang heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up and he said. Brother Hui, you are such a good person. You are the loyal minister of the Forbidden Lord. Thank you, we'll go now and say goodbye. And at this moment, in the visitors' hall, they are all good things, retreat. Ao Wushuan looked at the gift sent by Grey Mist Sea and was delighted. He gave some to Song Ji-yuan, and then went directly to retreat. The Lord of the Forbidden City guards the door for him. After Feng Qinggang and his party left the forbidden visitors, they directly contacted the World Sacrifice Temple using the method given by Hui. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xian. Chapter 1008. In the Temple of Sacrifice. Ning Tianji, Zhang Shanjin and other people on the road were still shocked by the news they had received before. Wu Jianghe, in one battle, killed 1 billion troops of the Grey Mist Sea, including dozens of overlords. In just a few short months, Wu Jianghe has actually grown to this point. Can one person defeat an entire world? It's too late, now when we encounter this person, we have to stay away. He won't come to attack us, right? Dugu Jintian and others were simply worried. In the past few days, they had been living in the shadow of Wu Jianghe's evil reputation, feeling extremely hesitant and frightened. Everyone, I think I have to run away. Zhang Shan was a little timid and said. Wu Jianghe has obtained the true message of the end of 10,000 paths. Once he comes to kill us, maybe even this temple of sacrifice to the world will not protect us. Xuanhuan also said. It makes sense. We should make plans early. To be honest, I haven't slept well these days. I feel scared every time I close my eyes. I'm afraid that Overlord Shura Wujianghe will come and kill me. They were so scared that they couldn't sleep at night. Changsun Changqing also had a worried look on his face, but there was some expectation in his eyes. He is waiting. Why hasn't Wujianghe come to kill him? As long as Wujianghe comes to kill, he doesn't have to act anymore. However, Overlord Shura never arrived. Suddenly, at this moment, Changsun Changqing received a message from Feng Qinggang and others. The Grey Mist Sea is coming. He spoke. Hearing this, everyone immediately looked over with great concern. What, the adults from the Grey Mist Sea are finally here. Let's take advantage of the opportunity and quickly join them. Dugujintian and others all spoke one after another, very excited. Changsun Changqing said. They are already in the sacrifice state, and they want us to go see them. Without hesitation, they set off directly. Shortly after. Sacrifice to the world, in a secret palace. My eldest son, Changqing, pays homage to all of you. Changsun Changqing, Zhang Shanjin, and others all arrived and saw Feng Qinggang and others. No need to be polite. Feng Qinggang opened his mouth and said. You have always done your best for us, Grey Mist Sea, and we, Grey Mist Sea, see it all. He waved. Suddenly, there were many gifts in the field. There are secret techniques, Grey Mist treasures, etc. All are great gifts. Seeing this, Zhongshan did his best, and they were all very surprised. These are some of our Grey Mist Sea's thoughts for you. Feng Qinggang smiled slightly and said. Including the secrets of the powerful clans in our Grey Mist Sea, as well as the various resources needed for enlightenment, they all belong to you. Ning Tianji was waiting, and was suddenly overjoyed. He hurriedly knelt down and thanked him. Thank you, sir, thank you, sir. All our hard work over the years has been worth it. The adults are so kind to us. They were so grateful. Even Changsun Changqing was a little shocked. These techniques are indeed the top techniques. Grey Mist Sea is so generous. Sir, this gift is too heavy. He spoke. Feng Qinggang said. It's nothing, we're all a family. Sir, is there anything we can do for you? Changsun Changqing asked tentatively. To cause the Grey Mist Sea to bleed, I'm afraid, it will definitely not be a small matter. There are indeed things that you need to do. Feng Qinggang opened his mouth and said. We are preparing to spread the Dharma throughout the true ancestor realm. Hearing this, Ning Tianji and others were startled. Spread the Dharma throughout the true ancestor realm. Now that the abyss has disappeared and the Great Wall has collapsed, the White Mist ancestral realm will eventually become part of the Grey Mist Sea. Feng Qinggang smiled and said. But the way forward for the true ancestor realm is blocked. As the Overlord, we have the unshirkable responsibility and the obligation to make this world develop rapidly. So, this time we brought scriptures, resources, etc. from various ethnic groups, just to save the common people. Hearing this, Ning Tianji and others were all a little confused. They have no idea what Grey Mist Sea is trying to do. Only Changsun Changqing had a look of shock in his eyes. Who is he? In an instant, he understood the intention of Grey Mist Sea. This is to snipe the 9 methods. What do you want us to do? Changsun Changqing spoke. Feng Qinggang said. Although we have the heart to help the world, because of the end of 10,000 paths and the 10 lords and 2 evils, the friendship between the 2 worlds has been destroyed, causing many people in the world to hate us, therefore, it is not appropriate for us to come forward. He smiled and said. You are the strong men in this world, and you should be very aware of the big and small forces in this world. Pass the Dharma through your family, power, etc. If the effect of the teaching is outstanding, you can become the overlord in the future. Hearing this, Ning Tianji and others all started breathing rapidly. So, great. Don't worry, gentlemen, we will do our best. Yes, if the world knows that there is such a good thing, the world will definitely respond. Before Changsun Changqing could speak, Du Gujintian and others had already hurriedly offered their assurances. How's it going? Is it okay? Feng Qinggang, on the other hand, looked at Changsun Changqing. Changsun Changqing raised his eyes and said, "No problem. My lords, please rest assured. Starting today, we will spread the law to the world immediately. At the same time, I will prepare 2 lists. Anyone who complies with our grey fog method will be sent to heaven from today onwards. If anyone dares to disobey, they will all be killed and eradicated." There was a deep murderous intent in his eyes. Seeing this, Feng Qinggang couldn't help but patted Changsun Changqing on the shoulder and said with satisfaction, "You are a talent. If you work hard, there will definitely be a place for you in the Grey Mist Sea in the future. Soon." Ning Tianji, Zhang Shanjin and other people on the road left the secret palace with a large number of secret scrolls, techniques, resources, etc. from the Grey Fog Sea. "Everyone, I'm going back to my family first." Zhang Shanjin spoke directly and couldn't wait. "I'm going back first, too. Don't delay the great mission of spreading the Dharma." Du Gujintian also spoke. Changsun Changqing said calmly, "My dear friends, please remember to give me the list after teaching the Dharma. Those who follow will prosper, those who go against will perish." Everyone nodded. The adults in Grey Mist Sea seemed to trust Changsun Changqing more, so they did not dare to disobey Changsun Changqing's words. Everyone left immediately. Made. Ning Tianji was extremely angry. "Brother Ning, what's wrong?" Changsun Changqing asked. Ning Tianji said, "My family had Ji Wuden, Changsun Bumi and Ji Wula wiped out before. There are not many people available now. I hate it. When the time comes, the adults on the other side of the Grey Mist Sea will probably punish me if they see my inability to pass on the law." He was worried. Changsun Changqing smiled slightly and said, "Brother Ning, you and I are both brothers. Don't worry, the Dharma passed down by our eldest grandson's family will be recorded on you and me." Hearing this, Ning Tian was very happy. He held Changsun Changqing's hand and said movedly, "Brother Zhangsun, you are such a good person." Changsun Changqing spoke seriously and said, "Brother Ning, in the temple of sacrifice, I only trust you. Don't forget, there is a traitor among us." Ning Tianji dug his heart out and said, "Brother Zhangsun, don't worry. As long as you find the traitor, I will be the first to kill him." After a long time, Changsun Changqing returned to his retreat. An attempt to dig up the roots of the 9 dharmas. He whispered, "Grey Mist Sea's plan is not without its viciousness. The 9 methods are very powerful, but they also require hard work to make progress. However, the Grey Fog method provided by the Grey Fog Sea, coupled with massive resources, can allow those who are willing to take refuge in the Grey Fog Sea to enjoy the benefits. After all, Grey Mist Sea has experienced golden times for eternity, and its foundation is too strong. Choosing the 9 methods, even though there is a way to go, it requires hard work, constant struggle, and even being hated by the powerful Grey Mist Sea and becoming its enemy. All you need to do is change your cultivation method and kneel down in front of the Grey Mist method, and you will be able to be rich and prosperous, quickly hit the road, and even enter the 4 realms. How many people have the backbone to face this kind of temptation? Human nature cannot withstand the test." He murmured and said, "There is not much time left for the 9 methods. Fortunately, there should be 12 ultimates in this world, so hurry up and sacrifice them to avoid long nights and dreams." He immediately took out a top-secret jade talisman and sent the message away. Martial Wilderness World. The dead are deserted, and the Valley of Oath Keepers is here. Last night, the place was extremely lively. The 30,000 Great Wall Guards, coupled with the joining of two powerful men, Xuanhuan and Changsunbumi, allowed the strength of the Oath-Keeping Valley to rapidly increase to a terrifying level. Now, in the Oath-Keeping Valley, Xuanhuan, Changsunbumi, Qi Tiangang, Chen Xiaoming, and the 18 swords of the Chen clan are all on their way. Moreover, they practice all 9 methods. In addition, Wu Zhenhai, the leader of the Wu clan, and Xuehen and Xiuqing, King Qin's 2 previous disciples, are also on the road, but not Jufa. I didn't expect that the Wuhuang realm is so scary because of the existence of the village. Ji Wuden spoke, filled with emotion. Yes, Lao Wu's great reputation is also because he has embraced the village. Chang Sunbumi also nodded. Up to now, in their understanding, they all still think that Wu Jianghe is invincible because he has hugged the 10 gods' thighs. Today, there are more than 12 of us who are on the 9 methods path. It's time to take the 9 methods path of sacrifice. Qi Tiangang spoke, his old eyes filled with expectation. Good. Ji Wuden also nodded. Chang Sunbumi was suddenly startled and said. There is news from my ancestor, people from the Grey Mist Sea are here. They want to dig up the foundation of the 9 arts and let the world practice the Grey Mist method. My ancestors asked us to sacrifice to the world immediately, without delay. He looked at Qi Tiangang and others. Suddenly, Qi Tiangang and others were stunned. The Grey Mist Sea moves so fast, we also have to speed up the pace. I suggest that a few of us go to the true ancestor realm now to build a sacrificial altar. Qi Tiangang spoke directly. Ji Wuden also nodded and said. However, the Grey Mist Sea has already arrived. If we go there, we may attract powerful enemies. The eldest grandson Buletinmi said. It's okay. My ancestor said that the Grey Mist Sea is very cautious in doing things. It is obviously because it has some fear of the true ancestor realm. Let's just do it. It is upright and there is no need to be afraid. What's more, there are 10 deities and 2 evil spirits, and that one is still here, the sky will not fall. He is very confident. Hearing this, several people nodded and immediately looked at Wu Xiaoqin and said. Please go to the village and report this matter to the 10 lords and 2 evils on our behalf. The matter of sacrificing the world is too big to tell what kind of storm it will cause, so it must be reported first. Wu Xiaoqin nodded and said. I'm going to the village right now. Qi Tiangang, Ji Wuden, Chang Sunbumi, and the 18 swordsmen of the Chen clan, leading the 30,000 strong men of the Great Wall Guards, set off immediately. Wu Zhenhai also took everyone from the Wu clan there with him. Because this time, the 9 methods sacrifice is a major event for the entire true ancestor realm, and you must participate. Let's go to the true ancestor realm and prepare to sacrifice to the world. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1009. Small Village. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, the lazy sunshine swept across the village, and the spring chill was chilly. Li Fan woke up and touched Xiaobai in his arms. He had taken a bath yesterday and it smelled good. He couldn't help but take a sip of cat. Then he stood up and pushed out the door. Bai Jian and Nanfan brought hot water, and Li Fan washed his face. Senior brother, I seem to have had a dream last night. In the dream, there seemed to be another me, dressed in tatters and covered with fat that was almost rotten. He came out of the darkness, as if he wanted to take me away. Wu Dai turned toward Zhang Li and said. Did I hit someone evil? When Zhang Li heard this, he was also a little confused and said. I also vaguely had a dream, but in the dream, there was an elegant and graceful man, who looked like a god. However, he seemed to have bad intentions and was trying to set foot on my road to Taoism. A group of disciples all felt a little dazed, but they couldn't grasp it. After all, those are things that happen when you are ignorant. It should be true. After we set out on the road, we provoked some unclean things, and most of these unclean things were related to ourselves. Lin Zhujian spoke and whispered. So, some unknown things happened in the dream, but it should be Master who suppressed everything. There is an extra copper coin in our Taoist scenery. Hearing this, the other disciples were all introspecting the Dao scenery. As expected, they all sensed the existence of the copper coin. Master saved us. I know that as long as Master is here, no matter what danger it is, it can be resolved. This copper coin is so wonderful. It is stored in the Taoist landscape, like an invisible moon. But whenever those dirty things come close, it may illuminate our Taoist landscape. They all sighed. Master, what do you want to eat this morning? At this time, Gongya asked questions. Li Fan said. Well, for the Chinese New Year, let's cook some dumplings and glutinous rice balls to eat. Dumplings are eaten in the north, glutinous rice balls are eaten in the south, and rice cakes are eaten in other places, so make some of them. Gongya nodded, and after a while, breakfast was ready. By the way, Gongya, go and call Huo Ling Mu Jianing, Yang Chu, Yang Tian, Yu Ling Long, and the others. Li Fan spoke. They all celebrated the New Year in the village yesterday and stayed in the village. Not long after, everyone arrived and entered the small courtyard. Huo Ling and Mu Jianing were very emotional. After many years, they came again and the small courtyard had not changed at all. Yang Chu, on the other hand, was shocked and sighing that divine creatures such as phoenixes and true dragons, were actually still alive. Dumplings, glutinous rice balls, etc. have been served, and everyone is eating breakfast together. Suddenly, Wu Xiaoqin's voice came from outside. Wu Xiaoqin came to meet Senior Li. Li Fan was a little surprised. Is it so early to say New Year greetings? Please come in. Li Fan spoke. Gongya stepped forward to open the door and saw Wu Xiaoqin walking in. Greetings, Senior. Wu Xiaoqin spoke. Li Fan nodded and thought to himself, this kid is really poor after all. He came to someone else's house to pay New Year's greetings in the first month of the year, but he didn't bring any gifts or anything. It's New Year, how are you doing? He asked. Wu Xiaoqin said. Senior Kijhen, everything is fine with us. Now the valley has grown again and has grown to about 40,000 people. There was a trace of anxiety in his heart. He knew that although he had been working overtime and forgetting to eat and sleep in the oath-keeping valley, he was probably still far away from Senior Li's requirements. The power of oath-keeping valley is not enough for Senior Li to be used as a chess piece. Li Fan was shocked when he heard this. He had heard Wu Xiaoqin say before that Wu Xiaoqin and his family only had a few thousand people. Why are there tens of thousands of people now? Can tens of thousands of people be fed? He knew that Wu Xiaoqin's life was already difficult. Tens of thousands of people, there are so many more people, what will you do next? Li Fan is very concerned. It's not easy to feed tens of thousands of people. If you don't have a strategy or something, you'll probably starve to death in this wilderness. Wu Xiaoqin reports. Senior Qi, there are creatures coming over from the Grey Mist Sea again. This time it is very dangerous. Our people in the valley have already gone. So, this junior came here specifically to report. Grey Mist Sea, are there any animals running out again? This Grey Mist Sea is quite productive. However, Li Fan felt that Wu Xiaoqin and the others seemed a bit limited. A small tribe can survive by hunting, but now there are tens of thousands of people. Can they make a living by following the old hunting route? It's not enough to be hungry and full. It's not reliable, it's definitely not reliable. There is something wrong with the production method. Thinking of this, he suddenly looked at Huolinger and Mu Jianing. These two people have done big business before and are well informed. Maybe they can help Oathkeeper Valley find an industry or something to develop. He thought for a moment and said immediately, Linger, Jianing, how about you go to Oathkeeping Valley and help them? Hearing this, Huolinger and Mu Jianing both nodded immediately. Senior, don't worry, we will do our best. Mu Jianing was very excited. Huolinger also took a deep breath. She knew that the current Oath-Keeping Valley was the power of Senior Li in the Beiwu ancestral realm, and Senior Li asked her and others to go there. She remembered the former Desolate Sky Alliance. Yes, Senior Li's intention is probably to let himself and others rebuild the Wild Sky Alliance. After all, the two of us may have more experience. Li Fan nodded and said, Nanfang, Ziling, you all should go and see if there is anything you can do to help. Please give me a helping hand. Huolinger and Mu Jianing once started their careers with their own help in calligraphy and painting. If Huolinger and the others want to start the calligraphy and painting business again, Ziling and Duguyuking can help. After all, they have already achieved some success. The other disciples also have their own strengths. For example, Long Xuanhuan can teach them how to raise fish, Lu Rang can teach them how to farm, Wu Dade can teach them how to raise dogs and pigs, and Xian Ning can teach them how to read. When Li Fan thought about it, he suddenly realized that in fact, this dog system is not useless. It is still somewhat useful in terms of living, it can help farmers live a well-off life. Hearing this, many disciples were stunned. Master, let us go out together this time. It seems that something big will happen. The south wind whispers. We are witnessing history. Master's random moves may change the course of eternity. Zhang Li was looking forward to it very much. Immediately, they all agreed in unison, with excitement written on their faces. Even Yungzi said, Li Fan, I want to go too. She wants to find the 13th jade nugget. Li Fan thought for a while and decided to let her go out to play with him. Good. Li Fan agreed. Yungzi was very happy immediately. Immediately, the group of them prepared to leave. Correct. Li Fan spoke again and said to Wu Xiaoqan. There are still some New Year's goods left in the village. You can take some back. Especially the meat, there is a lot left. When Wu Xiaoqan heard this, he was extremely grateful. Senior Li was really concerned about the development of Oath-Keeping Valley. Every time I come, I will be given many treasures. Soon, a group of them left the small mountain village. On the way, Wu Xiaoqan told Nanfan and others about the outside world one by one. The Grey Mist Sea is very poisonous, it wants to destroy the development of the 9 laws. Ziling spoke. Yungzi rode. 9 laws, they can't destroy them. There was clearly an unparalleled confidence in her autumn-like eyes. Not long after, they were out of the desert. To go to the true ancestor realm, you still need a teleportation array. Damn dog, just stop it and let the little turtle do it. Wu Dade spoke directly. He was almost shadowed by the big black dog's teleportation array. The big black dog suddenly became angry and said, What do you mean, human favor? Is this emperor's formation skills weaker than this? It pointed its paw at the little turtle, very unconvinced. When the little turtle heard this, he immediately said, Isn't what you, Renchong, told the truth? The big black dog got angry and said, You are floating, wow, I will fight with you. Seeing that the big black dog and the little turtle were about to fight, everyone around them was speechless. At this time, Yunzidao was a little curious and said, Teleportation array. I should be able to do it, let me try. She raised her hand, and saw that there were spatial paths flowing under her hand, and a gate to the void appeared directly. Sister Yungzi, you don't even need a formation disc. Zi Ling's big eyes were filled with surprise. The little turtle and the big black dog set up their formations, both seemed to need formation discs. Yun 11 asked doubtfully, the array, what is that? Dugu Yuking said, it's something used to store Tao principles. The array plate can be engraved with Tao principles and can be accessed directly when needed, which is very convenient. Oh, I understand, but the Tao principles can be used with anything. Why do you need to use a formation disk? It's so strange. Yun 11 blinked. Hearing this, Dugu Yuking suddenly felt a little melancholy. This, he couldn't communicate. And the big black dog and the little turtle who are competing against each other are also. Silence fell. Good night. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1010. True Ancestor Realm. On this day, the great road came from the starry sky, and the pressure of those who took the road shocked the world. The people were shocked and the whole world was paying attention. From now on, we will rebuild the Taoist platform for worshipping the world in Tianjiang continent and perform the ritual of worshipping the world. All cultivators in the world should go to worship the world together. On those avenues, the words of those who set out on the road came. Surprisingly, it was Ji Wuden, Chang Sunbumi, Qi Tiangang, and the others. They have already arrived and sent orders to the world to rebuild the Taoist platform and hold sacrifices to the world in Tianjiang continent in the True Ancestor realm. This news instantly spread throughout the True Ancestor realm. The world is shaken. What, 9 Dharma protector Ji Wuden and others are going to hold a sacrifice to the world? It's true. They are all on the road. They are extremely powerful. This time, there are really 12 people on the road who want to sacrifice themselves. The rise of the 9 laws is unstoppable. Countless cultivators were cheering, and countless sects immediately went. After waiting for eternity, can the Old Testament finally be realized? The whole world is on the road today. Quick, help me up, I want to go to Tianjiang continent. An old cultivator with a disabled body and strong will climbed out of the grave excitedly. Everyone in the sect and above who are in the 7th realm must gather immediately and go to Tianjiang continent together to perform the 9 Dharma sacrifice. It not only requires 12 people on the road, but also the unified will of the common people. A sect leader issued an order to gather all the masters of the sect and rush to Tianjiang continent. Tianjiang continent has become the focus of the True Ancestor world. Sacrifice to the world. They're coming, they're coming. Ning Tianji and others were all a little shocked and murmured. They have long expected that when the 9 laws spread throughout the world and they lose their monopoly on the 9 laws, there will definitely be practitioners of the 9 laws who will reach the top level. But I didn't expect the sacrifice to come so quickly. 9 methods of sacrifice, have there actually been so many 9 methods cultivators in this world? Zhang Shanjin let out a long sigh. No, we absolutely cannot let them succeed in their sacrifice to the world. Xue Konglu opened his mouth and said, I can't sit still and wait for death. Dugu Jintian, on the other hand, said in a deep voice. What we can do now is to step up the spread of the Dharma. As long as there are more people practicing the grey mist Dharma in the world, the peoples will not be able to gather together. Even if there are 12 people on the road, they may not be able to succeed in the sacrifice. Hearing this, everyone nodded. They were the first batch of practitioners of the 9 methods to set out on the road, and they had conducted in-depth research on the 9 methods. In the 9 method sacrifice, the 12 people on the road are just the main sacrificers, equivalent to the guides. However, if you want to truly open the door to the world, you must have enough willpower. That's right. As long as we succeed in splitting the True Ancestor realm, the world will not be able to unite, and the 9 laws will be just empty talk. Step up to teach the Dharma. I'm going to go on the road and go to 3 continents to teach the Dharma myself. Our Duga family, through contact, has made 73 sects and families give up the 9 methods and switch to the grey mist method, but it is not enough. They all spoke. Changsun Changqing, listening to everyone's words, nodded and said, "What Brother Dugu said is absolutely true. In my opinion, we might as well let those forces who have taken the path of grey fog also go to Tianjiang continent. No one knows that they have practiced the grey mist method. When the time comes, they will secretly sabotage the people's ambitions, without knowing it, and let Ji Wuden and others be defeated." Everyone also nodded. "Everyone, please give me the list of people you want to teach, and I will arrange it well. When the time comes, the forces that have left the grey mist law, will shine brightly." Changsun Changqing spoke. "Brother Zhang Sun makes sense. Yes, we should make good arrangements. This world sacrifice meeting, must not go wrong." Immediately, everyone on the road gave Changsun Changqing the list of forces that accepted the grey mist method. In the true ancestor realm, somewhere in a secret place. Haha, 9 ways to sacrifice the world. Feng Qinggang's face showed a sneer and said. It came pretty quickly. Next to him, an overlord said viciously. Brother Feng, let's take action and kill these ants. Whoever dares to sacrifice the world will die. Hearing this, Feng Qinggang said. Confused. Do you want to die? He said coldly. This is a thought in the true ancestor realm, with the end of 10,000 paths above, and the big black dog and Xuanhuan below. We show up rashly and give away the heads. If these young people dare to show off like this, there must be strong people behind them to protect them. Don't act recklessly. Hearing this, the overlords behind him all had ugly expressions. Can we just sit back and wait for death? Feng Qinggang whispered. For now, we really just have to wait. When the temple of sacrifice to the world transmits the Dharma, the faster they transmit the Dharma, the weaker the will of the people will be, and the sacrifice to the world may not be able to open that door. He raised his eyes, looked in the direction of the grey mist sea, and said. At the same time, we have to wait for the true ancestors on the other side of the grey mist sea to break through the backhand of 10,000 ways and, maybe there will be something to gain. There was a great turmoil in the true ancestor realm, and everyone was heading towards Tianjiang continent. At this moment, Ji Wuden and others have led an army to Tianjiang continent. They descended from Tianshuang mountain and started rebuilding the altar for worshipping the world. Once upon a time, Yang Daomei and Zhang Yunzheng held a sacrifice here, but that time, there were only 2 people on the road, and the 2 major forces presided over the sacrifice. The scale and level were far inferior to this time, and the Taoist platform also needed to be overthrown and rebuilt. The world's attention. Sea of Grey Fog. In a forbidden place. The news just came that the Beiwu ancestral realm is already preparing to take the road of 9 methods of sacrificing the world. A true ancestor whispered. Although we have sent people to teach the method, the time is too short and it may not be effective. Other true ancestors also spoke one after another. We must not let the Beiwu ancestral realm take over the world. Once the whole world takes to the road, it will be a threat to us in the grey mist sea. We have to intervene. 9 methods, even if they are true ancestors, they have to be afraid. Once successful, it is impossible to crack and difficult to resist. The only way to stop it is now. However, Feng Tiangu said coldly. To stop them, have you forgotten what happened to the true ancestor of the time and space insect and others? The end of 10,000 roads is in my mind, and we can never get there. Hearing this, everyone also looked ugly. At this time, the only option is to ask the forbidden immortal to take action. The true ancestor level was completely helpless when faced with that single thought at the end of 10,000 paths. Immediately, they rushed to Jinghai Xianxi. Knowing that the Beiwu ancestral realm was about to hold a sacrifice, there was silence in the Jinghai Immortal Society for a long, long time. There is no news from the ancient roadside. The backhand of Wandao ending seems to have caused a deadlock there. A pair of green ghost eyes lit up and whispered. Just wait and wait, we will contact the Yamluadian. The being in Jinghai Immortal Society spoke. Hearing this, many true ancestors present had stern expressions on their faces. The Palace of Yama? What is this? They had never heard of it before. However, from the tone of the taboo immortal, it seems that even the immortal and the others must obey the orders of this Yamluo Palace. Existences above the forbidden immortals. As you command. Feng Tiangu could only retreat and wait. In the Jinghai Immortal Society, two green ghost eyes looked at each other and whispered. I'll send a message over there immediately. Yes, it is related to the end of the world. This matter is indeed beyond our ability. Although they are respected by the true ancestors, they are full of awe and fear towards the end of the world. Now, the end of the grey fog sea, the deepest part. The fog is filled with grey fog and chaotic fog. In the fog, there is an ancient road looming. The entire ancient road is imaginary and real, with one end connecting to the end of the grey mist sea, and the other end leading to nowhere. Around the ancient road, there are many mysterious time, space, and secret places. Broken roads are everywhere, and terrifying killing formations are hard to guard against. This road, in the grey fog sea, is also called the Forbidden Road. The source of the grey fog in the entire grey fog sea comes from the Forbidden Road. Legend has it that the end of this road leads to the Forbidden Road. In the endless years, in the vast sea of grey mist, some extremely talented and powerful men have set foot on this ancient road, but without exception, they all fell. As time goes by, no one dares to take a step closer. And at this moment, on a certain section of the vast ancient road, there were two people, following a big black dog, moving forward. It was Yang Daomei, Zhang Yunzheng, and the big black dog. This ancient road is really thrilling. Zhang Yunzheng couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his face, and there was still a deep sense of fear in his words. Yes, if it weren't for the Black Emperor leading the way, I'm afraid even if the true ancestor comes, there will only be a dead end. Yang Daomei was also frightened. They saw too many dangers along the way. Now, their attitude towards the big black dog has completely changed. Along the way, they all relied on the big black dog to be familiar with the road conditions and feed them well, otherwise they would have died long ago. Suddenly, the big black dog stopped and looked forward. The dog's eyes were very solemn and said, "Huh? Something's not right, there seems to be something unusual in front of you." Hearing this, Yang Daomei and Zhang Yunzheng were both shocked. Abnormal. Let's go over and have a look. The big black dog steps forward. Not long after, they saw the scene ahead. In front of this ancient road, there is a vast world of grey fog. The density of the grey fog is 1,000 times greater than that in the sea of grey fog. The fog liquefies into endless streams and covers the land. On the ground, there are many vague buildings, which are very majestic. At the entrance to this world, there is a huge stone tablet. On the stone tablet, there are 8 characters. The 10th origin clan, the rotating palace. Seeing these 8 big characters, the big black dog suddenly narrowed his eyes and whispered, "Wow, even if the 10th source clan ran away, they are actually related to the Reincarnation King, one of the 10 kings of reincarnation. Before the death of the Lord of Reincarnation, he divided the Great Seal of Reincarnation, which contained the authority of rebirth, into 10 parts and asked the King of Hell of the 10 palaces to take him away. Could it be that he appeared here?" There was unprecedented solemnity in the dog's eyes. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1011. Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan were both very surprised and confused. Are there any living beings living on this forbidden ancient road? What is the revolving treasure palace? Listening to the words of the big black dog, it seems to have a very big background. Black Emperor, the 10th origin clan, what is this? They spoke in confusion. Big Black Dog explained. This road leads to the taboo, and at the same time, it is also the source of the grey mist's origin energy. There are 10 sources of grey fog in the entire ancient road. The further in, the more terrifying the sources of grey fog are, and the things that are born are weirder, and even really touch the taboo. Around the 10 sources of grey fog, things are born. The creatures form their own clan, known as the Source Clan. This is where the 10th grey mist source eye is located, so the creatures here call themselves the 10th Source Clan. It had walked this ancient road before, and had a clear understanding of what happened on this road. Hearing this, Xuanhuan and Yang Daomei both froze. There is such a secret on the ancient road. The top 10 origin clans. So, the top 10 origin clans should be more terrifying than the powerful clans in the Grey Mist Sea. Yang Daomei spoke. Are the top 10 source tribes the biggest enemies on this road? Xuanhuan was worried. The big black dog said. We can't even speak of a great enemy. When the master came across the border, these UN tribes were so well behaved that they didn't even care about the source of the grey mist, and ran away overnight carrying the house on their shoulders. Later, when Wandeo Terminus passed the border, a fool from the 9th origin clan jumped out to stop him, but was slapped away. Hearing this, Yang Daomei and the two were stunned. There is actually such a past. Let's go and take a look. If the Reincarnation King really appears in the 10th Source Clan, it must be involved in reincarnation. Its dog eyes were faint, and it led the two of them into the grey mist world ahead. And at this moment, the place where the 10th Source Clan is located. The fog of chaos and the origin of grey fog are intertwined, and the whole world is dark and grey, showing a grey state. But in the grey world, there are ghosts poking around, and hundreds of ghosts walking at night. Green eyes, floating spirit bodies, creatures like walking corpses. This world is full of weirdness, like a ghost country occupied by evil spirits. In the center of the vast grey world, there is a huge lake. The huge lake is filled with grey viscous liquid. This liquid is made from the liquefaction of the source energy of the chaotic fog and grey fog. A living person who drinks it will lose his mind. But in the huge lake, there is a stern palace. 4 big words in the letter. The Palace of Revolving Treasures. Countless zombie-like creatures and floating spiritual bodies were walking towards the lake. The walking corpses filled the lake, and the spiritual bodies floated into the Palace of Reincarnation and were never seen again. Those who came after stepped on the bones of their predecessors and knelt down towards the Palace of Reincarnation in the Grey Lake. What is this? Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan were hiding in the dark, holding the hair of the big black dog to hide their aura. They looked forward and felt the astonishing aura coming from the lake, and couldn't help but look shocked. The big black dog had a gloomy face and whispered. Wow, it's really reincarnation, who laid the plan on the forbidden ancient road and turned the 10th origin clan into the hell of the Reincarnation King. Is this to activate the power of reincarnation? It smelled something strange. And not for a long time. From the Palace of Reincarnation, a man suddenly stepped out on the waves. He was holding a fly whisk. He looked about 50 or 60 years old, but his temperament was extremely gloomy. Wherever the Taoist passes, walking corpses, floating ghosts, etc. all kneel down to him subconsciously. In the blink of an eye, the man was out of the lake. Follow him. In the darkness, the big black dog suddenly spoke, his dog eyes solemnly saying. He has something extraordinary with him. They sneaked in secret and followed the man closely. Hey Emperor, what should we do? Catch him? Xuanhuan asked. But the big black dog narrowed his eyes and said. There are 7 ghosts lying on his shoulders. There must be more in the Daijing area, it's hard to deal with. However, the situation here must be clarified. After all, the king of reincarnation is one of the 10 kings of hell in reincarnation, and it is of great importance when it comes to reincarnation. Wow, I don't think I'm going to be ruthless anymore. After saying that, it gritted its teeth and bit off the hair on its body with big mouthfuls. Seeing this, Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan were both shocked. What kind of operation is this? Wow, what are you looking at? Why don't you help me pull it out? If it's too late, that guy will leave. The big black dog urged while grinning in pain. Immediately, Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan also hurriedly started plucking the hair of the big black dog. Pull it out, don't leave any of it, otherwise you won't be able to hold it down, woof, be gentle, woof woof woof. The big black dog barked. Finally, all the hair on the big black dog was plucked out. At this moment, it reveals its most original figure. The big black dog blew out a breath in the direction of the man. Suddenly, the black dog hair turned into a whirlwind and silently approached the man. At this moment, this Taoist has walked out of the ghost country world of the 10th Source clan and embarked on the forbidden ancient road. Haha, 9 ways to sacrifice the world and take the world on the road. The Taoist looked in the direction of the grey fog sea and whispered. The sea of grey mist is a chosen place. It will definitely accept taboos and become a world where the power of reincarnation reappears. No one can stop it. He was preparing to head towards the grey mist sea. But, right now, he suddenly felt that his vision went dark. In an instant, the Taoist's mind went blank and his pupils were blank, as if frozen. And in the black whirlwind, a pair of copper bell-like dog eyes lit up. What does the 10th Origin clan have to do with the Palace of Reincarnation? A low and majestic voice sounded. The Taoist replied like a zombie. The Forbidden Lord of the Source clan, holding the Great Seal of Reincarnation, will become the King of Reincarnation as a living person and establish the living reincarnation. Hearing this, a look of surprise flashed through the copper bell-like dog eyes, but he continued to ask. Where are you going? The Taoist replied numbly. We have received news from several ghosts in the Sea of Grey Mist that the 9 Dharma at the end of 10,000 paths is about to be sacrificed. We can't let them succeed, so I ordered me to take a piece of the ashes from the end of 10,000 paths and go to suppress it. In addition, the Forbidden Lord cannot control the power of reincarnation, so I need to go to the Beiwu ancestral realm to find the footprints of an indescribable existence. I heard that the indescribable existence is the true creator of reincarnation. If his footprints can be found, it may be able to help the Forbidden Master completely control the reincarnation seal. The black-haired whirlwind could no longer hold up at this moment. On this man's shoulders, 7 pairs of ghost eyes were vaguely looming, as if they were about to open. Who is behind you? The big black dog asked quickly. However, the black-haired whirlwind finally dissipated completely. The Taoist immediately repeated Qingming, and he stood there, scratching his head. What happened just now? Why do I feel a little absent-minded? He was a little surprised. However, he immediately shook his head and said. It should be fine. If anything happens, the people I'm carrying on my back would have already warned me and took action. After saying that, he immediately walked forward towards the forbidden ancient road. On the other side, the big black dog was lost in thought. The Forbidden Lord of the Source clan uses the body of a living person to hold the seal of reincarnation and refine the reincarnation of living people. Wow, the intention is huge. And Yang Daomei said. Hey Emperor, what should we do? The big black dog thought for a moment, then suddenly raised his eyes, looked in the direction of the 10th Source clan in front, and said. If you don't enter the tiger's den, you won't catch the tiger's cubs. I have to go and investigate to find out who is plotting reincarnation. Is it a ghost that escaped from reincarnation, or That hand back then. The dog's eyes are firm. But Black Emperor, if you go there like this, won't you be discovered? Yang Daomei spoke. Of course it can't go by like this. The big black dog used his magic power and transformed instantly into a Taoist priest with a dog's head. He was dressed in black Taoist robes and had a dog's head and body. He looked very weird. Come on, follow me. It takes one step and goes away. Hey Emperor, what should we do about this Taoist? He is going to the Beiwu ancestral realm to hinder the sacrifice of the world. Why don't we stop him? The big black dog heard this and said. Don't worry, the Emperor's true form is over there. If you can't even deal with such a thing, then the true form will be dead. Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan hung. The big black dog was the first to enter the territory of the 10th Source clan and directly reached the edge of the giant lake. He released a powerful energy without any concealment. Who dares to come here and act wild? Suddenly, in the thick gray lake water, gray bone claws stretched out, and green ghost eyes lit up in the gray mist. The entire gray water lake was disturbed, with thousands of ghost shadows and endless ghost claws. It looked mind-numbing. It's over, Black Emperor, you have alarmed the entire ghost country. Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan's expressions changed drastically. This dog is so reckless. Is this to provoke the entire 10th Source clan? But the big black dog was not afraid at all and said. What are you afraid of? Just be careful, when this emperor comes, even the endless ghosts can only greet him respectfully. After saying that, it straightened its chest and raised its head, like an expert outside the world, and said calmly. How many reincarnations of life and death are there? The tribulations of dust and dust are never idle. There is a sea of right and wrong in the universe, and the bones of the human world are like mountains for all eternity. There is no place to be found in hell in the palm of your hand. Now you are refining with evil and making a great return. The words fell. However, the endless ghost figures around them did not stop at all, approaching the three of them. Is this really okay? What kind of spell is the Black Emperor chanting? It seems that it has no effect. Both of them were shocked and confused. Even the big black dog is a little hairy at this moment. Could it be that this is useless? Impossible. But right now. Boom. In the rotating palace in the center of the giant lake, a yellow light suddenly rose into the sky and paved a wide avenue, extending directly in front of the big black dog and Yang Daomei. This yellow avenue appeared, and immediately, the endless ghosts that were approaching the big black dog and the others all knelt down, respectfully, and did not dare to infringe at all. And in the rotating palace, a voice has already sounded. I don't know if an expert is here. Can you come in and have a chat? I would like to ask for advice. In these words, the voice was sonorous, but he seemed very excited, as if he attached great importance to those lines of the big black dog's poems. Seeing this, Yang Daomei and Xuanhuan were both shocked. What's going on? Did the big black dog's spell work? The big black dog, indeed, breathed a deep sigh of relief at this moment and whispered proudly. Let me tell you, these verses were overheard by me when my master was teaching the Lord of Reincarnation how to establish reincarnation. Even though I remember it in a confused and incomplete way, it's not easy to fool you, a little forbidden master, right? As it spoke, it said proudly. Come on, come with me. I will have a good discussion with my Taoist friends here today. Good night.